and welcome again to Cottage Talk. I am Russ Goldman. This is our quick preview of Fulham's match against Crystal Palace on Boxing Day. I'm just going to be doing this for about 15 minutes. We do have some team news, and that's what the focus is going to be on this very quick episode of Cottage Talk. Before I go on any further, I do want to wish everyone a very happy Christmas and a happy New Year, too, as we get to that. I do hope to have a show before New Year, and do want to mention, I'll mention at the end of the show, I have huge plans for Cottage Talk for the new year. There's going to be a lot more, and I mean a lot more content coming your way. But we need to get through this year, and we do need to get through this show, previewing the upcoming match, and talk about some of the injury concerns for Fulham heading into the match against Crystal Palace. But before we do any of that, we have to talk about the passing of George Cohen. Very sad news that came over yesterday. And this will actually also tell you the impact that George Cohen had. The fact that when I got up this morning and I turned on my television set and the news came across that George Cohen had died, it actually made it over here. So that just tells you the importance that he has in the world, not just in the football world. This is extremely sad news. Fulham legend, World Cup winner. I want to wish his family all the best and thoughts and prayers with them. So I just wanted to mention that to start the show, and just a couple of things, because the Premier League will be doing something. There'll be moments of applause before every top flight match between Boxing Day and December 28th. And players and officials will be wearing black armbands in memory of George Cohen, and I think this is a wonderful tribute to him. Fulham will be doing their own as well. They're obviously on the road, but when they come home to play Southampton, I know that there are going to be plans. So you will be seeing that from Fulham, and there's all kinds of content and thoughts and prayers coming from Fulham Football Club on their Twitter account and on the website as well. And like I mentioned, this is extremely sad news with the passing of George Cohen. And I just wanted to start by saying that, and there's also been talk amongst Fulham supporters that maybe they should name the Riverside stand after George Cohen. I hope Fulham actually take that into consideration. That would be a wonderful tribute to a man that meant so much to Fulham Football Club, gave so much, played so much for Fulham Football Club. I hope they consider naming the Riverside stand after him. That would be a wonderful tribute. Okay. So let's start with the team news for Fulham against Crystal Palace. And unfortunately, it's not positive. And I will share my thoughts on that in just a bit. Some of it obviously involves Alexander Mitrovic. And it's unfortunate what I'm going to be talking about. And I'm going to be sharing an article from Peter Rutzler from The Athletic. And we're going to talk about it upcoming, about the three players that are doubts. And the title of the article from Peter is Mitrovic, Robinson, Kurzawa doubts for Fulham's trip to Crystal Palace. I'm going to read directly from Peter's article. Alexander Mitrovic is one of three players who are a doubt for Fulham's Boxing Day fixture with Crystal Palace. Head coach Marco Silva said the defenders Anthony Robinson and Layvin Kurzawa will also need to be assessed over the coming days, while Neeskens Cabano is sidelined long-term with a serious Achilles injury. Mitrovic has returned to Fulham following the World Cup, where he scored twice before Serbia were eliminated in the group stages. He has been nursing a foot injury before the tournament, an injury that may have threatened participation. However, he's not yet back to full fitness ahead of the return of the Premier League. Quote, this is from Marco Silva. Some players started working with the team this week. Some are not fully fit yet. It's too soon to say. We have more sessions before the match. There's not a big difference to our last friendly match. Let's see if we have better news in the next few days. Mitrovic had that issue in his foot before the World Cup. He lost the last two games, recovered and played some games at the World Cup, but not fully fit. We're trying to get him into his best physical condition. If not Palace, he will probably be available for the next one. Southampton, unquote. Okay. So that starts us with a talk about Alexander Mitrovic. So let's start there. And to be honest with you, I don't expect Mitro to play against Crystal Palace. I would be surprised if he plays against Southampton. I know what Marco said. I have a feeling what Fulham are doing right now is to try to get him right for the rest of the season. I don't blame them for that. I think that they should make sure that he can play for the long term and not for the short term, and possibly re-injuring this foot injury that he's dealing with. So I know I would rather see him play for Fulham. I know Fulham are better with him, but I think Fulham are probably going to do the right thing. We'll see if he's available in the next couple matches. I'm basically just myself thinking that he won't, but who knows? Maybe he will be. Maybe he will be recovering quicker than they hope. But I think this is a loss for Fulham, a huge loss, and they're going to have to adjust to it. We'll talk about Carlos Vinicius coming up because I want to back him. I totally want to back Carlos Vinicius. Get behind the player. I know there's so much talk. We need another striker. Give this player a chance. Please give Carlos Vinicius a chance to succeed here. He's only played a few matches. He's only started a few matches for Fulham. Strikers need rhythm. Give him a chance. Get behind him. I'll use examples of Chris Baird. Again, there were Fulham supporters that were down on him in the beginning. Look what happened there. Same thing for Tim Ream. Give him a chance. That's all I'm saying. Carlos Vinicius, we need to get behind him instead of thinking he's not good enough. Support him. Get behind him. That's what I'm going to be doing. So, and that goes to the impact. I expect Vinicius to start, and I hope that other players step up, because when your best player isn't playing, we could argue maybe it is João Palhinha, but for argument's sake, many will say it's Mitro. Other players need to step up in his absence, pick up the slack, and that's what I'm hoping we'll see for Fulham against Crystal Palace. Another one to be concerned about is Anthony Robinson. And it's funny to talk about Anthony Robinson because I was one that was saying that Fulham needed to replace him this summer. And boy, he has proven me wrong. So I want to give Anthony a lot of credit. Here's also from Peter's article and a quote from Marco Silva, quote, Robinson and Kurzawa didn't play against West Ham because they were injured. Not serious injuries. Robinson came back with a small problem in his foot from the World Cup. He didn't train in the first 10 to 15 days since the World Cup. It's a situation to see day by day. It's not serious. It won't take him for a good number of games, unquote. And again, that's from Marco Silva. So that kind of gets me to think he might not be featuring against Crystal Palace. And this is a loss. To me, this is a serious loss. Could Kurzawa play? I don't know. I'm thinking Tim Ream is going to play a left back, and against a team with pace like Crystal Palace, this could be a problem. So I just want to mention that. We'll see what happens with Anthony Robinson. It's amazing to see a player that has become so valuable this season, and a player that I was thinking that they needed to replace. And when you're playing against a club that has all this pace, Zaha, and players of his ilk, I mean, he's going to be a miss. So we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll be ready to play, but I'm not counting on Anthony Robinson being back for this match. And that's why I went right into saying that I think we could see Tim Ream at left back. Now, we saw that against Nottingham Forest. Worked out pretty good. He did it against West Ham. That, to me, was, I think, the precursor of what we're going to see against Crystal Palace. I think we're going to end up seeing Tim Ream at left back. Not ideal, but we all know he can do it, and I think he can do a decent job. Other news to come from the presser is actually encouraging. Manor Solomon is edging closer to a return. Marco talks about this in his presser. He did have a minor setback, but now it's basically he's back fully training with the team, and it's up to Marco to judge when he is ready to go, when he's ready for selection. So we'll see how this goes, but this is exciting news. It's going to be like a brand new signing for Fulham. But when he does return, where does he play? Because he's going to have to beat out Willian, who's playing great, because I expect Manor Solomon to play on the left. So competition's a great thing. I think that right now they're okay because you have William playing at such a great clip. But this is only going to help Fulham the rest of the season. Manor Solomon edging closer to a return. And there's a Goldman as I spelled that incorrectly. So now let's talk a little bit about Crystal Palace. And Crystal Palace are actually even with Fulham on points. And this is a good side under Patrick Vieira. We know the threats. It starts with Zaha. They're great on the counter, which could be an issue for Fulham based on injury concerns and also just the style of play that Fulham have played under Marco Silva. So this will not be an easy match. But I think it's a club that Fulham can obviously play with. And I think they should go in with the attitude, with or without Mitro, with or without Anthony Robinson, that they can get all 3 points. I truly believe that. They can win this match. But there are going to be challenges here because you're playing against a side that can attack, that it has some goal scorers, and we know what Zaha offers. We absolutely do. So we'll see how it goes against Crystal Palace. I have much respect for this side. They are a solid team in the Premier League, and I expect them to be in the top 10 by the end of the season. So this will not be an easy match at Selhurst Park. However, it's a match I think Fulham can win. Okay. So let's move on. Let's talk about how does Fulham win this match. Well, I think it's going to come down to taking their chances. I expect Vinicius to play, so it's going to be getting him involved and possibly goals from the wingers. I expect William to be active, and I think the way Fulham win this match is it's going to be in central midfield. I do believe that João Palhinha and Harrison Reed need to control the play. If they can control the play and Fulham can match the pace, which is going to be difficult, of Crystal Palace, I think they have a shot to win. But it won't be easy, partially because of injuries. But I think it's going to come down to the play in central midfield. So now let's go to the starting 11. And here is my prediction for a starting 11. I don't know what Marco's going to do, but I'm going to say that it'll be Leno. I expect Kenny Tete to be your right back. I'm going to say Tim Ream as your left back, Tosin, and then, of course, Diop as your center backs. I'm going to go with the threesome of Palhinha, Reed, and then Pereira on the left, William. I'm going to say Harry Wilson on the right, and then I'll go with Vinicius up top. That's what I'm going to go with a starting 11. Maybe Bobby Decordova-Reid on the right. We'll see. But I'm going to say Harry Wilson. I'm going to go with Harry Wilson. That's just my best guess. Okay. So coming up next, I'm going to share my prediction for the match. Okay, we're back. And before I share my prediction for the match, I just want to share a couple of comments. This is from Jordy Tune for Life. Thoughts to George Cohen's family. A devastating time. Thank you very much for that comment. And then to my friend Steve Reynolds. It's better to lose Mitro for maybe the next 3 games to get him fit. We have Chelsea twice and Newcastle and Spurs over 3 weeks. Very good point, Steve. That's my point as well. Listen, if he's out for the next couple of matches, if that's the case, get him right. Get him ready to go. I'm there with you, Mr. Reynolds. Okay. So we're going to end the show with my prediction. So I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw. I think Fulham can get something from this match. They've been giving up goals, and based on the situation with injuries, I'm going to say that they're going to give up a couple goals, but I think they're going to score a couple goals. So I'm going with a 2-2 draw. That's going to be my prediction for Boxing Day. I think I would be happy with a draw, but I'm going to say this right now. Fulham can win this match. They can absolutely beat Crystal Palace. If they were fully fit, I would be predicting victory. But based on the injuries, I'm going with a 2-2 draw. I'm not going with a Crystal Palace victory because I think Fulham, even with the injuries, can get something out of this match. Okay. Well, before we end the show, as I started the show, I just want to wish everyone a very happy Christmas and a happy New Year. And lastly, just want to mention I do have huge plans for Cottage Talk in the new year. And basically, my situation with work has really not allowed me to do many shows, but I've given it a lot of thought and I figured a way that we can do many more shows. And I'm going to be starting this off in the new year. Part of the reason is because I miss Talk on Fulham, and we have some great podcasts that are talking Fulham, but the media around the world really do a terrible job of talking Fulham. They just don't talk about them enough. I understand they're going to talk about the big clubs, but there's so much to talk about with Fulham, so much that I plan on filling in that void, partially for selfish reasons because I want to talk on Fulham. Secondly, I like to talk about Fulham. And thirdly, I think we need talk on Fulham. So Cottage Talk is going to be providing that. I have different themed shows each and every week that I'm going to be launching. You will see every Tuesday during the January transfer window a special show called Transfer Tuesdays, where we're just going to be talking about the transfer window. So that should be fun. But I got huge plans, and this is going to be my way of rewarding everyone for listening and watching Cottage Talk for 11 years. You're going to get more content, and I'm going to make that promise starting in the new year. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Cottage Talk. My name is Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, now part of the talkSPORT Fan Network.